Well, I'm back. I'm not quite sure how long this is going to last, but I am back. First, they canceled my channel completely, pulled all of the videos. I had zero access. Then, through an appeals process, my channel was back. I was restricted from posting for 2 weeks. I will tell you this. You've got to come to Rumble. That's where I will post all of the really controversial stuff. The certain topics that I'm just not allowed to talk about here. The link is below. For those of you that keep sending me private messages, there's no link below. Right below this video, there is a link that says Hot Topics. That's your link. Right there below. You got to come to Rumble where I can talk about the stuff I'm not allowed to talk about here. Here's a sobering thought. Who do you think Kamala Harris is going to pick to be her vice president after Joe Biden is removed from office? No, I'm not kidding, and no, I'm not hallucinating. I'm asking you a serious question. Who is she going to pick? Now, it's frightening in and of itself. Camilla thinks she's a Hottie Harris becoming the commander-in-chief. I have been telling you for days now, everything that's happening in Afghanistan is all about the Democrats removing Joe Biden. Remember, Democrats never, ever go against one of their own until it is politically expedient for them to do so. They never do it because it's the right thing. They do it because it's the political thing that they must do. They knew from jump that Joe Biden was compromised when it came to his mental cognitive state. They knew that. That's why they ran the bunker strategy of a campaign. That's why he didn't really go out and do campaign events. Had really nothing to do with the health situation of the country at that time. There would have been ways for him to go out and do his parking lot rallies or whatever else it was that they dreamed up for him to do when they occasionally let him out. The reason they didn't do it was obvious. No one came. It was a bad optic, a bad visual. They kept him in the bunker. They had earpieces in his ear while he did interviews to try to keep him sounding relatively coherent and on point with an answer. That's just who he is. God only knows how many pills of Prevagen he had to take just so he could remotely hold it together when doing debates with then President Donald Trump. But they've known from jump he's mentally compromised. He needs to be removed based on the 25th Amendment, but they're not going to do that because if they do that, that stirs up the waters where people are going to begin to say, well, you knew there was a problem with this guy even before the election, and yet you ran him anyway. You purposely picked a guy that you knew had these issues, and you ran him anyway. And then that's going to open up questions about the election and election fraud and integrity and everything that they're trying to make go away. They don't want to reopen all of that. So now they have the perfect reason why they allowed Joe Biden to walk into it in Afghanistan. He will be removed from office because of this absolute nightmare situation unfolding on foreign soil. Will it be an impeachment? Will he just come out and in some type of, faux pas patriotism talk about he must do this for the healing of the country? I don't know. But just like we watched the Democrats stand by Governor Andrew Cuomo for months, for years, knowing what a degenerate, vile individual he was, yet they stood by him, they defended him. His behavior was no more grotesque than Bill Clinton. But when his days of being their useful idiot were over, when he no longer needed to be the foil for Donald Trump, when it became obvious that he really had killed over 16,000 people with his policy of putting COVID-infected individuals into nursing homes and allowed that virus to rip through the most vulnerable of our population, when, well over a dozen women who have come forward now with their allegations of sexual harassment, aggressive sexual advances and behavior, they decided he had to go. And they didn't get rid of him over what happened in the nursing homes, although that's what he should have been fired for. No, they didn't allow that, because then they'd have to go after Governor Whitmer in Michigan, Governor Murphy in New Jersey, and other governors. And they got to protect those blue state governors, so they will throw him under the bus over sex. And I am sure even Andrew Cuomo was stunned that his one-time allies all united, from Nancy Botox Pelosi to Chuck E. Cheese Schumer to even Dementia Joe himself, calling for his resignation. He resigned, he's done. And now Joe is going to be thrown under the bus as well. The Democrats know they are heading into an absolute slaughter in the midterms. They know that there are investigations being done right now into Arizona, Georgia, and other places over the 2020 election cycle. They know that they've got an entire problem now trying to explain the need for boosters, etc. They've got this crisis that they absolutely did not deal with at the southern border, and it really is a crisis. And now we have this unfolding in Afghanistan, and I am convinced beyond all measure they allowed this to happen on purpose. They allowed Biden to walk into this because it is the one issue where they will feel comfortable in throwing him under the bus that doesn't compromise their other issues. They want open borders, so they won't deal with them about that. They're not going to call him out on anything, the mismessaging, mismarketing of everything that has happened with rolling out Love Potion number 9 and surges in numbers, etc. there. So what they will do is they will nail him in the one area where they are in lockstep with the establishment. And that, of course, is the military-industrial complex need for endless war. Now, again, some of you are no doubt, especially conservatives, you're getting mad. Pastor Marty, I don't like it when you go down this path because you sound like you're not patriotic and you don't appreciate the sacrifice of our men and women, and they've spilled their blood there needlessly. Listen to me. I'm going to explain this for the last time. I love our military and I love our country. I have a son who serves in the United States Armed Forces, has for the past 4 years. I love our country. I love our troops. I was very supportive initially, as many Americans were, of the war on terror. But it became very obvious quickly that we had been lied to, things had been misrepresented, and this war, which should have been an in-and-out strategy, dragged on year after year, decade after decade. To pick up on something that Dan Bongino has been talking about, as well as other op-ed pieces around the country, revenge is a strategy. Now, I don't personally like the word revenge. Being a pastor, I am well aware that the Bible says, "Let vengeance be mine, saith the Lord." Retribution, consequences, I'm for that. In other words, when we got hit on 9/11, we needed to hit back at the people who hit us. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with our military being used in a retaliatory fashion. And you hit them back 10 times harder, leave them with a mess to clean up so that they think long and hard about, do you want to hit us again? But we were lied into war. They lied for over, what are we going on, 20 years? We should have been out of there 19 years ago. And I know there are certain people whom I don't like John McCain, that traitor who should have spent the rest of his life in Leavenworth after he sold us out in Vietnam and sold out his military comrades in Vietnam, came home, got himself elected to Congress, and then had all of the reports on MIAs sealed so that parents and spouses of those who were missing in action in Vietnam never got any closure. That's John McCain, who collaborated with the Vietnamese enemy. We understand that he was very big on let's have a never-ending war somewhere, in particular over in the Middle East. And they're pulling up quotes now, and certain conservative media pundits are talking about, look, John McCain was right. I agree. The longer we stayed there, that once we left, it was going to create a vacuum and going to be a problem. I agree with that. But here's what I'm really saying. We never should have spilled any blood to begin with there. Retaliate. Yes, take out Osama. Why are we still there? Why have we been there? When Donald Trump tried to pull the troops out, immediately the Congress stepped in, led by Nancy Botox Pelosi and the never-Trumpers and the Trump haters. Those good old rhinos stepped in and took that authority away from the commander-in-chief, who is constitutionally given the authority to pull our troops out of harm's way. That's been taken away. And now, Joe Biden getting intel, telling us, 90 days before there would be a problem. And it was 90 hours. He said we got a report from the so-called intelligence community on Thursday that would take 90 days for the Taliban to take over. And it took them 90 hours. Now, one of two things is happening. Either A, the intelligence community is stupid, or B, we have been lied to again on such a colossal level. They wanted this to fall. They wanted this to fail. They love the images that you're seeing on your television every night of people falling off of planes trying to get out of there. It is heart-wrenching. It is heartbreaking. We have Americans that are trapped there. But first and foremost, let's not lose sight of the fact we were lied into this. And the ones really responsible for lying into this are walking around who probably ought to be in jail for war crimes and war profiteering. So now we have pulled out, but I will tell you this, even though Donald Trump was all in favor of pulling out and ending endless war, and that was what he was committed to, I can tell you this, he would not have allowed the images that we're seeing played out on the TV screen to have been played out under his watch. No way. Nope. The withdrawal would have stopped immediately, and those soldiers would have been ordered, you crush the Taliban and you leave nothing left. Biden pulls them out, and we're going to just sort of trust the Taliban to do the right thing and help the Americans that are there get out safely. Yeah, okay. We'll see how that works out. But I am telling you, the Democrats are allowing this to play out negatively, and the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media has stopped carrying Joe Biden's water on this, and he's gone back into a bunker mode. They've canceled all of Joe Biden's public events. He will not be talking to the press, which has become a mess for him. It's done. He's done. He's over. He's history. And they're going to use this to remove him. So my question comes to you again. Who do you think Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris will pick as the vice president? Because again, this is all about we must keep the military-industrial complex moving forward. That's how they make money. How many people connected with this, whether as military contractors, etc., have made hundreds of millions of dollars? And money that was allocated by Congress to funnel into Afghanistan, 80% of it went back to military contractors, subcontractors, which means it was a grift that circled around and came right back to people in America. Even the puppet president of Afghanistan, when he finally fled the country, it is reported he took bags filled with $169 million in cash. All that money we pumped in there, and the place still looks like a third world country. We have an image of a gas station, kind of like we have here in the States, like a Speedway, a real deluxe gas station, has 12 pumps and a full store and convenience store and maybe a Subway pizza place inside. We built one of those in Afghanistan. One. And somehow it cost $43 million. Not because we built 20 of those things. One. Now, I don't know what one super convenience store with 12 gas pump costs here in the United States. I got a feeling it's not $43 million. Where'd the rest of that money go? This has been nothing but a grift for money. Always follow the money. And the senators have supported this. They're all in on the cut, all in on the take. And the reason we're watching even the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media on the left and right join forces on the narrative of this, it's tied to advertising dollars. It's tied to all kinds of money. But of course, I make the argument again, we never should have been there. And now, boys and girls, let's have a little history lesson, shall we? In 1975, then President Gerald Ford inherited the crisis of withdrawing from Vietnam and cleaning up the Vietnam mess. And he went to Congress wanting funds for an evacuation plan to get Americans and Vietnamese refugees who had helped America. He wanted financial funding to be able to get them out, and one senator gummed the works up so that he was not allowed to get his hands on any funding, and we got the video images of the fall of Saigon, and we got the video images of basically an embarrassing, wretched departure out of Vietnam, to which this senator used as a political football to keep hammering then President Gerald Ford. But Gerald Ford worked quickly. He managed to get 150,000 Vietnamese refugees out of Vietnam with no help from our Congress, no financial help, because one senator gummed up the works. That same senator gummed up the works when President Ford wanted Congress to allocate funds to help acclimate these refugees that were coming here into American life. And he said no. And he held it up and he fought it. And as a result, President Ford went to Christian charities, Christian organizations, and they funded bringing the refugees here. Now, what kind of man denies funding to get 1,500 Vietnamese allies out of the country who helped us? Who stops that? Who uses that for political advantage? Then Senator Joe Biden. Surprised? Not surprised. This man has been a walking disaster on foreign policy forever. Forever. He is a train wreck. He was even at a train wreck when he was still in his right mind, and he's not even remotely there anymore. And if you don't understand that everything happening in Afghanistan is the old bait and switch, it's the magician's trick. Hey, watch what this hand is doing. Pay no attention to this hand over here. So while all the news coverage is pounding on this, because they're setting us up for the takedown of Joe Biden, what else is going on? We've got vaccine passports now mandated in New York City. We've got investigations into election happening and results about to come out from states like Arizona. There's a whole lot going on that's not being talked about, and it's going to fly completely under the radar and go unnoticed and undetected, yet it will have severe consequences on American life. Like, inflation. But we're watching Afghanistan. Again, it is tragic what's happening to the people there. But in reality, we never should have been there to begin with. It should have been a retaliatory strategy. Go in, take care of business, get out. They don't want us there. They don't want us to set up new regimes and give them a Middle East version of America. They don't want our way of life. They don't want democracy. What about this isn't clear? I've said it before and I will say it again. Secularists have got to stop giving their 2 cents on this. Secularists who have a secular world viewpoint, who work at the Pentagon and work in government, cannot be a part of the thought process on this because they don't understand this really is a religious war. This is a war of ideology, of faith. You have to agree with it. I certainly don't agree with their faith, but I understand the mindset of what they're coming from. This is very serious to them. And there are 2 kinds of Muslims: evolutionary Muslims, revolutionary Muslims. Evolutionary Muslims put on a suit and tie, get elected to office, and want to enact change legally. But change they want, and they do want Sharia law, and they want everything under the order of the Muslim faith ordained by Allah. Revolutionary Islamists are what we see on our TV. They're out there with guns, shooting people, blowing things up, blowing themselves up, all in the name of Allah. Now, 2 different groups, but they have the exact same goal. And I'm sorry, if you're an atheist or a secularist, you can't really wrap your head around this and understand it. This is why we keep botching it. They don't want our lifestyle. In fact, they hate our lifestyle. It's why they refer to us as the Great Satan. They're not impressed with Hollywood. All of you Holly weirdos that constantly come out and you get upset when any of us talk about Islamic terrorism. Do you understand that if they ever get a foothold here, you're the first to go? You're done. They absolutely hate you, loathe you, and despise you that you have unleashed an acceptance and a promotion of what they consider to be abhorrent, immoral, vile behavior. You don't get it. You don't get it. And Obama Biden, sorry to mention Joe, you're going to have to check the stats on this, but you may be the shortest serving president in history. God help us from the Kamala Harris presidency, which is coming soon. Hey, thanks for coming back. Make sure you check your subscription. Make sure you're still a subscriber. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant, and check the link below for my hot topics at Rumble.